Awesome.
So we're joined all the way from Atlanta, Georgia by the entrepreneur, the technical expert, graduate of the Mississippi University for Women, Shanda Malone. We thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a room full here with us at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for all of our computer science engineering students in Madison County schools. Madison Central, Rosa Scott, Madison Middle School, Germantown Middle School, Germantown High School, Ridgeland High School, Old Town Middle School, the Academic Option Center, Shirley Simmons Middle School, my good friend Angela Jordan over there, and our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, now before we get into all your IT stuff, because I can't even list all the certifications you have when it comes to computer science. But you are from Mississippi. You're now in Atlanta, but you're from Mississippi. So take us back to your background, going to the W, and then transitioning over to Georgia.
Absolutely. Born and raised in what I like to call the dirty South. I'm from Macon, Mississippi. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Macon. It is 45, it's 45 South, actually, heading toward Meridian. So yeah, born and raised. I graduated from Noxubee County High School, salutatorian of my class, went on to the W, as I call it, but it's Mississippi University for Women. I finished with a bachelor's in communications there. And then in the interim, my last year working on my bachelor's, I had a counselor say to me, hey, do you know that you have enough credits to get an associate's degree? Actually, you have enough credits to get two. You only need to take about 3 classes. And so I did. And I ended up graduating in 2003 with 2 associates, one in liberal arts, one in behavioral science, and then the bachelor's degree in communications. That
Wow.
brings me to here. Yeah, it was kind of a big bang for me, I like to call it. Moved to Atlanta in 2004 with my husband. And so he was military, and they sent him here on a job. So it was just like an easy transition for us to move all at once instead of staying in Mississippi. So awesome move, best decision of my life. I came here and I did not initially dive into my field, which at the time was communications. I started working in customer service. One of the quickest and easiest jobs to get here in Atlanta. There's a lot of business, it's always booming. And so I did that for about 8 years, all the way up through supervisor and manager. During that time, I started to create these training manuals, of course, for some of my peers. And so in doing that, some of the managers said, hey, why don't you join the training department at one of my last customer service jobs, which was US Food Service, by the way. You guys see that a lot down there. They deliver to the Waffle House, Arby's, and the restaurants like that. They are a
Have a
chain
very
service.
big factory. They have a very
Yes.
big factory here in Madison County. Great place to work. But go ahead.
Absolutely. So I started in the training department at US Food Service. I worked there for about 6 years. And then that is when I took the big leap going into this field that I'm currently in now, which is IT. Crazy thing. I received an email from one of the recruiters, IT recruiters, and he said, hey, send me your resume. I had never done IT before in my life, but this was for a training role itself, actually going out into the field training DHS workers. I said, okay, hey, I'll send you my resume, did the interview, and that is how my IT career was born. I started out as a trainer, training state employees all over the state of Georgia. About 6,000 folks got trained in that
Wow.
initiative, which would put, yeah, a lot. It was a huge initiative, which would put the programs that the state offers into one hub, and the workers would be able to see all of that demographic information without having clients to repeat. So that is the purpose of that, to cut down on fraud and then cut down on repetition. So once they
Yeah.
saw how well I wrote, they said, hey, we don't want you in the field. Come back in. We want you to rewrite our curriculum. I rewrote their curriculum and I stayed in-house for the remaining 8 years with a company called Deloitte.
Yeah.
Deloitte is huge. Yeah, that your students may not be
It's one
familiar
of the
with
big
it.
four accounting firms. One of the big four accounting firms. They have a
Absolutely.
great.
Yep.
They have a huge hub in Memphis where a lot of accounting
Yeah.
majors from Ole Miss.
Yep. And so I want to enlighten you a little bit. It's not just accounting. Accounting is one of the two big two for them. The next big thing for them is IT. And so they are
Oh,
going around the country. Yes, they have a cross country initiative where they'll be doing the same thing that I did for the state of Georgia to all of the states. And so they're now
wow.
bidding. Yeah, they're coming to Mississippi too. They're bidding on contracts in all of these states to create this same type of one stop and shop hub. And that is again how I got into IT. I left Deloitte about a year ago. In the interim, though, while I was working at Deloitte, I still took on projects and opened my own company, which is DYD Technical. And I started to take on projects which surfaced or focused on change management, agile methodologies, which is how I ended up getting these certifications, and then also just standard IT technical writing. And then here we are. That is my short
Yeah.
story.
Wow. That's incredible. I knew some of that. I didn't know all of that. Um, But you mentioned these certifications, and one thing we really like to do is, again, and I'm not in, I mentioned Ole Miss. We want to encourage kids to have all their options. If
Mhm.
college is on the horizon for them, if they've earned the scholarship and that's something they want to do, by all means, they need to go. But we have a lot of kids kind of on the fence about college. We have a lot of kids saying, I just want to do the community college route and get a few certifications. Or even right now, and this with IT, the military has some of the most incredible IT training on the planet. And on that, you're not even paying for it. You're getting paid to do it. So with this
Absolutely.
IT, because obviously it's not going away,
No.
Deloitte is focusing on IT. We've had IT people with restaurants. We've had IT people with hotels. So literally every field is touched by IT
Yeah.
professionals, especially health informatics. We had a lot of them in the fall speak with us about healthcare IT people.
Yeah.
So if a kid's like, I'm interested in tech, but I don't really think the college route is for me, or I want to get the certification at a community college and then start working. What are the different ways to get into this field, because it's always changing?
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and drop a number on you that stunned me. I did a little bit of research on yesterday, and I was just looking into cybersecurity because I'm going to tell you, Greg, I get bored. And so now I'm at a point where I want to do something different. I have these 6 IT certifications. What's next for Shanda is always what I wake up thinking about. In doing this research on yesterday, cybersecurity, I found that there's a 35% growth perspective for 2024. So going into
Wow.
the 24 to 25 year, 35% growth, and then a $9 trillion industry. We need some of that money. Our kids coming out of school down there, you guys need some of that money. And so I would say the first step to going into IT, number one would be to finish high school, of course. My second piece of advice that I would give you is to start now researching what you think you would like to do. IT healthcare, you hit on it, so I'm going to go back there. It is never going anywhere. We always need to make sure we're shored up on the cybersecurity side with our client and customer database. So they're making sure that none of these health records are being leaked. They need people for this immediately. So I would say that's a great field. And then also on the IT side, the corporate cybersecurity is going to be big, and it's something that they really need to look into. Now, for those of your students who are writers like myself, a great field to go into would be the IT technical writing side. And with that being said, a lot of the agile methodologies, you would need to study those. So one particular certification that I would recommend is Certified Scrum Master, CSM.
Yep.
This is a 2-day training, Greg. 2-day training. It's about
Wow.
$1,500. A great service provider is Scrum Alliance. With this certification, you can come out of this class making well over $100,000 a year. That's just with a 2-day training. So that $1,500 investment is well worth it. For a student who's looking to jump directly into IT, I would say the path would be finish high school, take a year or two at community college. You don't even have to finish community college. Just kind of go get your prerequisites out of the way, and then because that's usually the cheaper route as opposed to going to a university, and then take this 2-day course. In doing so, go ahead and start reaching out to local businesses. Let them know that, hey, you're a certified Scrum Master. You can check on LinkedIn. Some of them will allow you to do a 3 to 4 month internship. And then some of them would just hire you right off the bat. All they want to see is that 2-day certification and documentation that you have actually acquired. Another great one is CSPO, which is Certified Scrum Product Owner. Now, the product owner works very closely with the Scrum Master. The product owner is the liaison between the company and the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is the person who gets the actual team of developers together who will be taking care of whatever project or initiative is going to be happening for that company. And so these two roles, CSM and CSPO, work together. Both of these are
Wow.
2-day training, Greg, and they only take $1,500 investment.
Yeah, and also, and I don't know if our kids are aware, but we actually have an IT program at our career center that they can do in
Awesome.
11th and 12th grade and get certifications in IT leaving high school. And then Holmes Community College, I know you're familiar with the community colleges
Yeah.
in Mississippi. East Mississippi was the one close to
Mm-hmm.
you. They have 10-month programs where you can get a few certifications. And look, we had a guest of this class who works for the Mississippi Department of Revenue. So obviously they're managing a huge server that
Yeah.
handles billion-dollar budgets. And he said, look, I have a computer science degree, and that's fine. If you want to go get one, great. But I'm looking to hire 19-year-olds that have these certifications that can work on my programs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I would say throw that out of the window. Looking when you look into going to a 4-year university, you have to reset your mind. I'm not going to knock anybody, Greg, for going to a university. I'm not. I went. One of my children decided to go. She's almost done at Savannah State. That is the path that we chose. But had I had the opportunity to do it all over again, I would never have wasted that type of time nor money. The student loans, not worth it. When you can come straight out of high school and make $100,000 a year from getting basic IT certifications. And the 100,000 that I'm speaking of, this is baseline income, Greg. This is not even top tier what you're going to make once you get those 1 to 2 years of experience under your belt. So
Yeah,
I would push this.
yeah, and then like we said on the military as well, people
Yeah.
want to get out of Mississippi. They'll pay you to get out of Mississippi. You can get 5 years traveling or whatever, get all types of certifications. When you get out, you're looking at 150,
Yes.
160,000 with veteran status
Yes.
being higher with military benefits. And then if you want to go to school, the military will pay for it. So
Absolutely.
all kinds of options that I was never told about when I was in school. So there are all kinds of options for these tech fields. Now, one
Yeah.
thing I did want to ask as well, what are some programs and some languages that you're seeing grow that you think young people should, take some time to learn because there's more and more that are becoming more popular in business every day?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go directly back to cybersecurity. I cannot stress that enough. I have not done a lot of research into it. I just started to research this and helping someone else who's going to be going into the field shortly. That growth perspective, you cannot top that. And so I would say research that one start with. The next one is going to be ITIL, which is Information Technology Library. And this is basically just learning how to set up SharePoint sites for different companies, developers, infrastructure teams, and then maintaining those files that are going to be placed on that SharePoint site. And so the next thing I would suggest would be, I'm going to go back to that agile methodology. If you can get that under your belt, companies are hammering this. And let me tell you why. Agile methodology states that you're going to do a certain slice of a project in a 2-week or 4-week time frame. Most companies are going to the 2-week time frame. And so with that being said, we're going to take one big project and we're going to slice it up into 2-week intervals. What can we do in this 2 weeks from start to finish? And this is known as the state of done or the state of completion. And so
Wow.
what that does is it boosts morale as opposed to saying, hey, we have a year to take care of this huge initiative. Break this thing off into chunks and let's get it done in slices. And that, I'm telling you, it builds team morale. And that's the reason why so many companies are going to this agile methodology. Both the CSM and the CSPO certifications that I've advised you about fall under this agile umbrella. And so I would say definitely do your homework about that. I can send you and your students some information about how to get those certifications. I have tons of information about that.
Absolutely. Well, I do have just a couple more things I want to talk about before I get to their questions. And one
Okay.
is something we talked a lot about this year. We need diversity in this field. Something that
Absolutely.
I never thought about. I had never thought about this till we had a guest in
Yeah.
Alabama who wrote a book about unconscious bias in AI
Hmm.
programming. And look, that doesn't mean she was very clear. She said, look, I'm not saying that people writing these programs are racist or evil. They just don't
Yeah.
know. And when you only have one type of person at the table when
Hmm.
it comes to these IT jobs, especially in health informatics, um, things fall through the cracks. Things are
Yeah.
missed, and it can literally, it's a health crisis. So we
Yeah.
need immigrants, we need women, we need all kinds of minorities. We need every single person to say, look, just because my family only did XYZ, or just because I've only seen XYZ where I grow up, this
Yeah.
could be a great way to break out of that bubble that you've been put into. And look, how you grow up isn't your fault, but you can expose yourself to more now than ever before.
Yeah. There's just really no excuse at this point. I'm going to give you a concrete illustration of how offset the diversity is in IT. And working for Deloitte, there were a team of 200 folks, myself included. There were two Black women on this team of 200 people.
Wow.
Do you see the disparity? There is a need for minorities. They are actively seeking minorities, women, immigrants, Black men. The field is wide open, and so we don't have the knowledge, and so hopefully by inviting these guests such as you did with me today, that will start to shed some light on more than just I want to be a teacher, or more than just I want to go into farming. There's so much more you can do, and IT is a wide open field.
Yeah, and now with the technological advances, the farming industry needs tech people. With the
Yeah,
drones, are you kidding me? Those
absolutely.
drones guys and agriculture companies are making top dollar, and that takes some IT programming to be able to fly those things.
Absolutely, you got it.
Now the last thing I want to talk about before I get to their questions, and this is just because I'm an entrepreneurship teacher, and and I know I can speak for all these other teachers that'll see this later. We have so many kids that say, I want to be an entrepreneur because I want to work for myself. They hear
Yeah,
the Jasmine Sullivan song, I'm going to move to Atlanta and I'm going to open my business and be rich. And look, I'm a fan of Jasmine Sullivan, but that's a bunch of
yeah,
BS. So just talk about the struggles that you had opening your own business, because look, it's not something you just flip a light switch and say, hey, I'm getting paid, because
it
it
is
is,
not.
even though it can be very rewarding and it can be lucrative, it does
Yeah.
take a lot of work.
It does. And I'm going to tell you, the very first business I opened up was DYD Financial. I opened DYD Financial in 2017. And so DYD Financial specializes in tax preparation for business, also for companies. I specialize in tax planning and preparation for the upcoming year, business startup, what we're talking about now. And so, with that being said, it took me about 3 years after going through the motions of getting registered with the state, getting insured, doing all of the necessary paperwork to get bank accounts and things of that nature, just the regular logistics of this business. It took about 3 solid years for me to learn that process for myself. And so once you learn that process, it is rinse and repeat for every other business that you open. Now you can successfully, if you know how to do it this first time, you can successfully open a business up in 2 to 3 days. You have the system down. You know what to do. You have the steps. If you need the steps to that, by the way, I can help you with that. I have them all down. So with the second company, DYD Tech, it was much easier for me to open up this business. And let me tell you why I opened up this business. I was getting my tech positions through vendors. These vendors were getting 20 to 30% of the income that should have been in my pocket. So we're talking a
Wow.
$100,000 salary. I was only getting paid $70,000. They were pocketing $30,000. One of my co-workers came to me and she said, Shanda, she said, why are you going through a vendor? Why don't you just open up your own tech company? And the light bulb went on. I can
Wow.
actually work corp to corp. They call it C2C, and get all of my $100,000 as opposed to only pocketing 70. And that is how DYD Tech was born. It was to get all of my money from these salaries that were being distributed from the projects that I was securing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. But I do think it's important to know, even if somebody's not interested in tech, because
Yeah.
obviously everybody's not. They need to know the reality of entrepreneurship. It's not just what you see on Instagram. There's a,
No,
a lot that
it's
goes
not.
into it.
Yeah,
But I
the
do have some
glitz and the
questions for
glamour.
students.
Okay.
Absolutely, Got some questions from the students. This first one is Rondell Ellis. He's in ninth grade, and he asked, "What obstacle was thrown at you, and how did you overcome that to achieve your goal?"
The obstacle was me. I had to get out of my own way, my small thinking. And so I sat there in customer service making $30,000 for almost 10 years of my life. I wasted 10 years as opposed to getting out there, researching, stepping outside the box, finding out what I could do to increase my livelihood and my net worth. And I just find that it was wasteful. In my defense, I would say I didn't have people like myself to speak life into me, to kind of nudge me in the right direction, give me advisement. And I was out here in Atlanta all by myself, 3 degrees, making $30,000 a year. Horrible. And so I would say getting with someone and actually networking. For example, your teacher, Mr. Greg. He's an excellent source. What he does not know, he has friends like myself who can kind of lead you in the right direction and give you advisement. And that is what I'm going to say. The weakness for me was not believing in myself enough at that time.
Well, and that's a very common tale from a
Yeah.
lot of people. This is Michael Sherrill, one of our football players here at Belma Jackson High School, and he asked, "What is the most rewarding part of your job?"
Being able to roll out of bed and slide onto my computer and close it down whenever I want. That's the short answer. Never leave my house.
Absolutely. This is Levon Johnson. He's in ninth grade, and he asked, "What made you stay in tech once you got into the field?"
The opportunity, the money, the freedom. I'm able to travel all over the world. I just slap my laptops in a bag and hop on a plane, and we're all over. And so you cannot beat the luxury and the lifestyle. Being able to be with my family, you cannot replace that time of being able to spend time with your family when it's needed. And so that's the most rewarding part for me.
Absolutely. Well, I got one more. This is Tykevian
Okay.
Boyd. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, "If I'm interested in working in IT, what kind of work can I expect to see once I get into the field?"
You will see a fast paced environment every single day. No day will be the same. That is one of the perks of being in IT. You will never get bored.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I hear people say all the time, "Well, I want to do something that's exciting." Well,
Yeah.
it's not the way it's really portrayed in movies.
Yes.
There's always something to do. And then you can really focus on certain areas. You have people that love the hardware side. You have people that love the software side.
Yeah.
Something that I've learned is the front end and back end stuff. That there's really a lot of moving parts that
Yeah.
need good people to learn and get into the field. So it's really, really great. Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us. But before we go, a couple things. First of all, tell us where to find DYD Technical Solutions online.
Absolutely. www.dydtechnicalsolutions.com. You can also find DYD Tech on LinkedIn. You can reach me directly at my LinkedIn by searching Shanda_Malone. Any of these modes would get you directly to me and my company.
Awesome. Now, before we go, obviously you've made a great case and a great story of why these kids should really focus on these technical skills, whether it be through college, military, certification, what have you. But why are these technical skills so needed for these kids as they move through high school?
Well, I would say this. Again, I'm going to have to go back to the source of income. You can take this certification and you can secure a job and be able to work anywhere in the world. I own a second home in Mississippi. And so I go to Mississippi at random. I just get up and say, hey, I'm getting ready to go. And the freedom of being able to work from anywhere and have that substantial amount of income, you can't beat that at all, and it's so rewarding. And if you find a field that you love, for example, I write. I'm a technical writer at heart. All of the other tech stuff I do, yeah, that's income based. But tech writing, that is near and dear to my heart. And so if you can find something that you love to do and make that type of money with that type of freedom, who wouldn't want to do that?
Absolutely. Good stuff. And it's not going away. So we thank you
No.
so much. All the way from Atlanta, Georgia, Shanda Malone. Just unbelievable IT resume. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Greg. And you have a great day. Thank you for having me.
Talk to you soon, buddy.